All right, guys, so this is our notes for campaign finance. Obviously, we've talked about when you go out campaigning, you are going out and trying to convince other people to vote for your candidate. Excuse me. Finance has to do with, obviously, money, okay? So, as we should all know, right, what do we need to know? First off is that campaigns are very, 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 very expensive, okay? Looking at the chart down here, you guys can see how much money is being spent, okay? And please note that this says in the millions. Most of the elections, the past two, at least, off the top of my head, have actually been up into the billions, okay? Close to $1 billion spent in the election. So it is a much, 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 much more expensive endeavor now to run for president than ever before, okay? And so, again, all the costs just keep on rising, and we can see that with the graph. And this has led to changes in how people campaign and campaign finance reform. Okay, you guys learned about this word reform last year when you guys talked about the progressive era and stuff. Remember that reform means you want change. Okay, and so what we're going to talk about a little bit in this little video is what kind of change we want to see happen with our campaign finance and how much money. What we mean by that is what changes we want to make to how much money people are allowed to spend on campaigns. Okay, so here are a couple of the reasons or what the rising cost of campaigns has led to. Okay, first, it's led to extensive fundraising. Okay, people nowadays do more and more fundraising than ever before, obviously, or they're going to spend a much greater amount of their own money to become president. And so one example of extensive fundraising is that there are certain limits and stipulations to how much money people can give or used to be able to give. We'll talk about that, or I'll talk about that in a little bit later. But people will go and they'll do these dinners where they're going to pay $500 for a plate. And the dinner's not actually going to cost $500. Since it's a fundraiser, all the money that someone pays for their meal goes straight to that candidate. Okay? So it's just one way that it's a traditional way people raise money. All right. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to limit the opportunities to run for office. Okay. Think of it like this. One of the big differences between both the presidential candidates and me as your teacher is that they obviously have a greater amount of income. And so since they already have a larger supply of money, they have the capability of running for president and it not really altering their life or financial circumstances that greatly. Whereas if I were to run for president, I would pretty much have to take out a whole bunch of different loans. I would need very, 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 very wealthy friends and things like that. So when we talk about who's able to run, we can normally narrow it down to whoever fits a certain income bracket as to who's most likely going to run for president. Okay, and so tying in with that again is that there's a huge advantage to wealthy individuals to run for office as opposed to common Joe people or people that maybe have like office jobs. They might have really, really good ideas about how to possibly fix our country or make changes to it, but they just don't have the financial means to run for president. Okay, this has led to political action committees, and next to political action committees, okay, you guys need to write PACs. Okay, PACs. I put up the next little dot already, but PACs are the primary way that people raise money. Okay, it's the primary way people raise money. Okay, and so these political action committees are who are going to run all the ads that aren't technically sponsored from a candidate. Okay, and so the last thing is that it's also led to the rise of interest groups and lobbying. Okay, lobbying are groups of people. Lobbying is persuading government officials to support your interest group's cause. Okay, and the basic way of knowing what an interest group is, and you guys should write this somewhere on your side margin. Okay. Not in for one of these 1 through 5s, but an interest group is just a group of people that are interested in a certain issue or bringing about a particular change. Okay, so they're just a group of people that share the same interests. Okay, but these interest groups give money to the candidates that support their cause. For instance, there's the PETA, which cares about animal wildlife. Okay, if there's a candidate that goes out regularly hunting and doesn't really value the endangered species list or anything like that, okay, or just how animals are treated in general, then PETA is not likely going to give money to that candidate. PETA is going to give their money to a candidate that does really care about animals and does really want to make sure that we protect our wildlife and also the animals that we hold dear to us, like our cats and dogs. Okay, and so the last thing that we have here for point 6 is that we have had campaign finance reform. So there's two things when we get to the next slide. Okay, campaign finance reform is we want to place limits on how much money individuals can contribute to campaigns. Okay, this isn't true anymore. Okay, their limits were placed, but now they've been changed. Okay, and so our SOL and what you guys will be tested on this year is a little behind this, but there was legislation that was passed that capped the amount of money that individuals could give to a candidate, but that's been overturned in the Citizens United case. And because of that, now any individual, interest group, or PAC, political action committee, can give as much money as they want to an individual, okay, that's running for president. And so that really changes the significance of small money donations. For instance, Bernie Sanders, when he was running, one of the things he liked to trumpet it was that he was the candidate that got most of his money from small donations, which means it's from average day people donating to his campaign. Okay, it's not to say that he didn't get larger campaign contributions. That's just something that he liked to kind of brag about in terms of saying that his campaign was more of a campaign by the people as opposed to the big interest groups or political action committees. Okay, so the big thing again, though, to know about campaign finance reform. So reform is change, and finance is money. Campaign is to help get somebody to win. Okay, we want to cap. Okay, or people are very, very in favor of trying to cap the amount of money that people contribute to campaigns, and that is the notes for this. And just one little song for you guys. To end this, nope, can't pull it up, but I'll hopefully play it for you guys one day. So that's your notes.